Yeah, well, good morning, everybody, and good to be back, I guess. Back in here talking some basketball. I think first, big shout-out to Best Virginia and their advancement and what they're doing as far as basketball in summer. And we're talking hoops right now in our state, and I think there's some excitement with what they're doing, so congrats to team and coaches there. JJ Quinley's off to a good start, too, so I think she's getting some love there and starting to play well and starting in the WNBA, and we're super proud of her. And then I think to all the fall sports, I think football gets going tomorrow maybe, and I saw the men's soccer team out there on the track today working on some conditioning, I think, testing. So for everybody else, they're rearing up. We are in our last week of kind of the summer access, and then we'll take a few weeks off, let them catch their breath in August, and then get back to it once school starts. But, it's been a great summer and good group of kids, excited for what's to come. Hopefully we can finish this off. So we've got 2 workouts left. We're going to take them whitewater rafting on the Cheat River later this week. So we'll get them out and explore a little bit of some true West Virginia and finish it off on Friday. So excited where we're at and excited to see what's coming down the future.
Who gets to steer the boat?
The guides, the professional guides will be there steering all of those boats. So. Yeah, we have some that are, I think, maybe just some anticipation, a little, I don't know if nervousness is right, but they haven't ever done it before, which is the whole point. Like some of them wouldn't maybe not do that if we didn't kind of push the envelope. We actually did this my first year, and we had some reservation too then, and then by the end of it, they were loving every second of it and falling off the boats on purpose when they could and having a good time. So it'll be good for us to get out and have some fun, off the court.
What are your thoughts on getting coaches' challenges this year? And do you have to do anything to prepare for that? I mean, do you have to watch film of I would challenge that or I wouldn't?
I don't know how much film we'll watch to get ready for it. It is something different for sure. Timeouts are gold. I've always said that. Now they may even be a little bit more that way. You can still, I think, challenge without a timeout, but you're going to get a technical if you lose the challenge. So it's really more just kind of practicing or thinking through what can we what's challengeable and when do we want to challenge those. We haven't talked to the team much about it, but I don't want to get into the 2 minutes into the game and the ball goes out and they're giving me the to go replay, and I don't think we're going to be doing all of that because, like I said, timeouts are just too valuable as the game goes, and you don't want to lose those too often, but it may come in handy late in a game at the right time. So, work in progress.
You discussed your first couple of years about how you approached this part of the preseason, and taking it off in the next when it gets more technical, more basketball-centric. Changed that approach any, or is it still the kind of thing, more skill development, more seeing what you have right now?
Yeah, definitely some of that. This summer is entirely different because a year ago we were getting ready for the foreign trip, and so we had 10 full practices. We had games that we were getting ready to play, so we had put in as much of the system as we could. I mean, it was certainly a watered down version, but we had a lot more than what we have in probably right now. We haven't got all the defensive stuff in yet. So no, we've done a lot of skill, a lot of evaluation. I've said this a couple times, but we have more newcomers than we do returners, which is the first time in my coaching career. I guess this will be year 21 that it's been that way. Other than when I took over a program, I guess. But, anytime that I've been returning, we've never had more newcomers than returners. So it was just getting them to gel, evaluating a little bit to see what we're working with before we put in a complete system. It would be nice as a head coach to know what the skill sets are of each player. But I feel like we've got, for the most part, we got it right in the portal. We knew what we were getting or thought we knew. It's kind of panned out from what we've seen in the summer so far. So, lots of evaluation, sit back, kind of evaluate for me, let a lot of the assistants kind of, hone in on some certain criteria that we were looking to accomplish. And then, we'll get really after it in August to prepare for once school starts.
Speaking about moving forward in step by step, 2 years ago you had JJ and Jordan together for the first time. You had a team together first time, new system. You won 25 games. This past year they were together again. You had a lot more together last year. Had the same record. What do you expect now when you have more newcomers, when you don't have JJ, how do you approach that?
Yeah, well, you just try to get them all the same page as quick as possible. Continuity and stability are that's fantastic, and you can't cheat experience. It is what it is. You don't get it unless you have it. And so we just need reps. We need reps with the new guys. Jordan Harrison's the only player that was here on our team 2 years ago. So this new world of college athletics is in effect for us. And, so working in the 5 returners and, Sydney Shaw and Jordan kind of, I guess, or that JJ and Jordan dynamic. And now that at least they've both been here for a year. So that's been kind of nice to have the backcourt, back with those two. And then you plug in some front court players and then these new guys. But yeah, it's a process. That part's not completely unusual, and how do you replace JJ? We get that question, it's hard to, you don't replace JJ Quinterly. We replace her points. We replace some of the things she does. I don't know if we can replace all of her steals, but we'll replace a lot of them and other people will take over. And that's what happens in sport. That's fairly normal. So we'll look a little bit different. I hope we rebounded a little bit better. Hope we scored in the paint a little bit better. Hopefully we do a few things differently than some of the teams from the past couple of years, but at the same time continue that identity on the defensive end that we've had.
How much are you asking to improve on 25 wins twice in a row, or is that really what you're asking?
No, I don't. We haven't even discussed that. I don't think that we go in saying we're necessarily trying to win. We're trying to win every game, as many as we possibly can. If you can get into the 20 plus, then you got a great opportunity to make the postseason, advance, maybe win a conference title. So those are the things that we want to eventually talk about. Again, this summer it hasn't been as much of that as it's been, stacking practices, getting 1% better, some of the coaching cliches, but that's kind of what the summer has been a little bit more. And then when we get here in the fall, we will talk a little more specific on team goals.
Coach, I was going to ask you about the Jordan Sydney. Sydney was kind of that third scorer last year. Obviously, that's probably going to have to, as far as expectations-wise, she kind of moves up a spot. Her and Jordan working together, what's that going to look like?
Yeah, no, I think they're working really, really well together. They're playing with and without the ball. Shaw will probably handle the ball more this year than she has in the past, like a JJ did, from time to time. And we have a couple more that can handle it a little bit as well and get Jordan off of it. But it's still going to be Jordan's show 85% of the time. It'll be in Jordan Harrison's hands, but certainly there'll be opportunity for others. But just a continuity and a trust. And, Shaw wants a bigger role. That was, very important for her and what we wanted to do as we move this forward. I think she's playing at a high level. She's shooting at a high level, shooting the three, obviously getting the mid-range, continue to work on finishing at the rim has been really important for her this summer, which she's done a better job of. And she took huge steps defensively from where she was, about this time a year ago to where she finished. So, yeah, really excited for Sydney Shaw.
That's what she said the other day was her defense got better, but she said to ask you about it.
Yeah, I'm sure she would. She's going to like that I'm bragging on her a little bit from the defensive end. But, yeah, so, no, she's taking some huge steps. Yeah, huge steps in a lot of areas. So I am excited to kind of see the progression and what this year looks like for her.
You mentioned the rebounds. You lose Kaya, who had 250 last season. Is there something that you as a coach have to work on with those players down low, or is that more individual work?
That's a little bit of both. The real answer is just recruiting is the real answer, is what I've learned over the years. Our better rebounding teams, we try to teach it fundamentally, and you do here's how you're supposed to block out type stuff, but then the really good ones just go have a knack for going and getting the basketball. And so I just like Carter McRae for us will be a really, really good rebounder, and we'll probably at least get what Kaya did and probably exceed it. We may rebound or should rebound better at the 5 position this year. So, and then we'll have some guards be able to chip in, like the Logan Johnsons and Riley McAleskys. There'll be some of those bigger guards that will really be able to help us rebound. So I don't know if we'll be in the elite level of rebounding, but I think we've taken steps from year 1 to year 2 to now year 3.
You judge the level of how a team is gelling at this stage in July without playing outside competition.
Yeah, I think the gelling for me is more of the off the court in the locker room gelling than really on the court. The on the court's going to take time, but it's, are we getting to know each other? Are we spending time together off the court? What do our weekends look like? When practice is over, are we hanging around? Not we, but the players. Are they hanging around the locker room just to, talk to each other? That's the gelling. And then how do I find out? Because I ask them. How are we doing? And we're, going through like individual meetings this week with me. So we kind of wrap up summer meetings. So I've got one-on-ones had 4 of them yesterday, and they continue today and go to tomorrow. And so that's part of what we talk about is where's the team at? How do we feel? Who you like playing with? Who you hanging out with off the floor? And so far, all of the responses, which have been that way all summer, have been really good.
Part of the summer process is confirming what you got in the portal, what you saw in that recruiting process. Are there ever any surprises? Do you get somebody that comes in and says, wow, I did not realize that she was as good as this?
Yeah, probably. Some subtle surprises, maybe. I don't think it's ever like, oh my gosh, like, wow. But I think there's time you're like, oh wow, maybe she sees the floor maybe a little bit better, or it's a freshman that the game's slowing down a little bit quicker, than you anticipated. So I think there's certain things that you see, that you hadn't. But a lot of these kids we either knew, maybe had recruited ahead of time. I mean, you can get enough film and those types of things now to have a pretty good idea of what you're getting, and we vet that out, at length to make sure we do know what we're getting.
Is the schedule yet, or
No.
are you still?
Yes.
Fine? Okay.
We're still waiting on a couple. I mean, I would say it's 92% done.
You've gone through the last 2 years now and had your experiences with the net and, whatever, power rankings, RPI, and that. So having gone through those 2 years, 2 experiences, does that take effect in this year's scheduling, tweaking it, adjusting, or anything like that?
Yeah, it does. We go. It's a constant evaluation. I mean, I've said it I think you always schedule based on the team you think you're going to have. In our sport, we can do. We're just a year ahead, so you have a decent idea. But it's harder with the portal now because you don't always know, and so you probably are scheduling 40 to 50% of it before you really know what you have, and then you probably are waiting to get your last 40 or 50% of that schedule done. Once you have a little bit better idea. But yeah, no, we have. I mean, it's we go to the Bahamas over Thanksgiving. We'll play Ohio State down there. I think our plan is to go to the Greenbrier. I don't know if they've announced that. Have we announced that thing yet? So we'll have a top 10 opponent at the Greenbrier in November. So that should be announced in the next day or two, I believe. Correct? I want to say. We go to Texas A&M. We return that game. Georgia Tech comes here. Villanova comes here. Temple comes here. So I think we've got some challenges in front of us that we need to play well to win, and some at home that if you may not have to have your best, but you have opportunities to get better, and then prepare for the Big 12. Hopefully do some damage in the Big 12, but hopefully your non-conference has probably helped. That's probably what's held us back from being a 6 this year to a 5, or obviously ultimately we want to get into the top 4 where we can play at home, and we've talked about that throughout last year too. And after we experienced what we did at Iowa and then North Carolina, you're like, yeah, I would love for that second round game, if you're fortunate to get past the first, to be in Morgantown.
Well, that was going to be my question. You kind of go into it thinking, okay, we gotta lay it out in an instance that if it works out for us, there's not going to be any more questions. I'm not getting screwed with seeds anymore. Is that thinking at all involved with scheduling making?
Well, yeah, I think a little bit, but you don't want to go too much the other way either, where you get beat up too much and then you're not prepared, or you don't have the right mindset going into Big 12 play, or you slip a little bit, but it's still what you do in the Big 12 should be good enough, but now you lost all those non-conference games. That doesn't help you either. So you don't want to underschedule and you don't want to overschedule, and that's the very, very delicate balance, of how do you just get the right schedule for the team you are expecting to have. And so, the team, we maybe underscheduled it a little bit last year. Looking back at it, probably not a ton, but there may have been a little bit of an underschedule. And then we'll, I guess, wait and see what this year looks like. But hopefully it's the right schedule with the right blend of types of teams.
Mark, you have so many newcomers. Is it weird that only one of them's a freshman? And then do you have to, not like baby her, but do you have to make sure like she's keeping up to, just because she's by herself in that, right? There's no other freshmen that she's...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of I don't know if it's the new, like it's going to stay, but since I've been here, we have not had very many freshmen. And then when we did, they get antsy, and a couple of them left last year. So we only have one back of the 3. And then I think my first year we only had 1. So it's kind of the new, somewhat the new norm. But our players have done a great job of taking Maddie Parrish under their wing. They are like the mother figures for her. They look out for her. She is kind of and on a little bit of an island, but again, she's done a great job. She's just likes to kind of not sit at home and do nothing. She's very much up and wants to do things and explore. And I know they went fishing the other day, her and several of her teammates. So I think they're taking her under their wing there too. But yeah, Maddie will be a really, really good player for us. It's been, there's more downtime in the summer, especially for a freshman. She knows that it's about to pick up once school starts. And, we work out in the mornings in the summer. So typically after about 12:30, they're probably done, Some will come back and shoot and do some things in the evening, but they're done with what they're required to do. So there's a lot of time for her to go get to explore and learn about herself a little bit.
Just wondering, Mark, you're talking about having more newcomers than returners. What do you think Rich Rod's going through with 70 newcomers and plus?
Yeah, I can't imagine. And that it's a whole different dynamic for he's dealing with 100 guys, right, total, and then 70 or I don't remember how many he said or knew, but it was a 60 to 70, I want to say. So, our percentage isn't even that far. Our percentage would be just 65, 55, maybe something along those lines. And so, I can't imagine what it's like, but that's why you hire good people. And if you get the right people, it can be done. That's what we've learned though over the last couple of years. You can do it. You can do it with having a new roster and turning it over and having success early if you get the right people and you got the right staff. And so it can be done. But I just think it adds a little bit more legwork on the front end. It's making sure all your coaches are on the same page, making sure these players probably need to study a little bit more and get in the film room. And, there's other ways to do it other than the taxing of the bodies. And then for in our sport, we get summer access too now. So, back in the day, you got here, your first team meeting was the first time you met your teammates, and you got your little notebook, and October 15th was the day you started official practice, and you couldn't do that, and you had small groups of 2, 3, or 4 people, and now we get them for 8 weeks in the summer, and so we're well ahead of where we used to be.
When it used to be, the guys' names were Fred and Harvey and Tom, and now I don't know how anybody remembers the names.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why in football they got to put them. They put the tape on the helmet so you just know on the front and the back, so you have a clue of what that kid's name is. A little easier in my sport.
Coach, with Maddie, I mean, she obviously comes in highly recruited and big credentials and stuff like that. I imagine there's always a moment though for incoming freshmen. Welcome to college basketball. I mean, I'm not in high school anymore. Has Maddie kind of gone through that, and what's that moment like for her, and what do you expect from her?
Yeah, I think she's probably been through that moment multiple times. I think that's what freshmen do. I've talked about the peaks and the valleys, or it's like a ladder, and it's 2 steps up the ladder and then 1 back and then 2 more up and then maybe 1 or 2 back, and and so she's been through that, and it's just getting your mind is racing. And so we're just trying to get any freshman, but we'll talk about Maddie, just to get her mind to slow down a little bit, which we met yesterday, and she said, Coach, believe it or not, my mind is starting to slow. I'm getting more comfortable. There'll be a freshman decision in there from time to time. You're yeah, that was a young choice, and then she'll follow it up with a really good play because she's a really good basketball player, and then that's the step down, step up. And so she's going to keep stacking practices, stacking days, stacking weeks. She'll get it a little bit again when we get here and throw a little more at her in the fall. So it'll be a little bit of that, and then it'll start to just settle in. And, a couple months after that, she should be right where she needs to be. So she's very smart, very articulate, great kid, comes from a great family, was raised the right way. So she's got everything she needs to have success. She's just got to work through it.
She's from the Cincinnati area?
She is, yep.
Did you first see her in AAU, or what was the
connection? Yep, when we first got our first summer here, we saw Maddie, played on a really, really good AAU team that won the national championship in the Select 40 Power 24 circuit. So yeah, great coaches there. High school team was really good. Got beat probably in the state quarterfinal, I want to say, both years. So she's just knows winning. She's a winner. Knows how to work. Knows how to put in time. Her dad's trained her a ton, so they spend a lot of time in the gym. So yeah, no, she has everything that we would want, and she doesn't even know yet. Once we really get her for an extended period of time, and I say she doesn't know. She doesn't know how good she can be. She'll get there and she'll become a different defensive player than she's ever been, and she's skilled offensively. So yeah, really excited about her.
Jordan Thomas kind of went through that last year, flashes and then leveled off flashes. year one to year two with her? Expectations, improvements, what do you see there?
Yeah, well, I always think your summer between your freshman and sophomore year, if you've played some whenever you play for the first time in college, it's that next summer that's the most important, because now you've played, you've had minutes, you've seen it against like Big 12 competition. So now what are you willing to invest that summer to take kind of the next step? So this is Jordan Thomas's, that's her summer. And this is what we've been at. And so I think you just see she's in better shape, she's in better condition, she's more confident, knows what's going on. You hear her vocally now a little bit more, where a year ago it might have been like, I can't hear you, at all. Are you calling that ball screen coverage, and now she's calling her coverages, and we don't have to worry about those simple little things and details. So, yeah, I hope you see a much better version. I think you will. I'm excited for Jordan. She's going to have a big role for us. She's a great paint presence for us. I think she's expanding her game a little bit further out, so we'll see her play inside, maybe even a little bit outside, and just continue to grow and develop.
When recruiting, how big is it to get somebody like Logan, who's from the Big 12, has played in this conference? Is it a little easier for you, especially they've seen your style before?
Yeah, I think so. I'm really, really excited about Logan. She's been fantastic for us. We've known her AU program from our days down in Texas, so that was an easy transition from that standpoint. But I think she's absolutely loved it here. She's fit right in. She fits our system unbelievably well, so excited to kind of unleash her to the fans once we get to that point. But she's been really, really good this summer. Yeah, and an easy transition.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks, everybody.